Treasury Financial Manual, Volume 1, Part 5, Chapter 7500. Credit Gateway, Fedwire, and Automated Clearinghouse Credit Deposits to Account Bureau Official Services. Chapter 7 of the Procedure for the Non-Tax Fedwire, Automated Clearinghouse Credit Deposits for the account with the Bureau Official Services. U.S. Department of Treasury made in all credit gateway. Section 7510, Scope of Applicability, Chapter apply with the federal entity to deposit the credit with the account officials of the made with the Fedwire or with the Automatic Clearinghouse Network. Federal entity transfer the deposit of the Fedwire Automatic Clearinghouse only official for the determines for the advantage of the government. Section 7515, Authority, Title 31 U.S. State Code 3301, 30302, Section 7520, Term of the Definition, related chapter. Please view Treasury Financial Manual Glossary. 7525, Background Concepts. Credit Gateway to deposit the program officials for the receipt of the federal entity, Fedwire, Automatic Clearinghouse Credit Transaction operated with the commercial bank with the designated with the financial agent of the government. However, the transaction is such as settled with the Federal Reserve Bank rather than commercial bank. In essence, if the commercial bank with the process of the information about the transaction, Federal Reserve Bank responsible for settling the transaction as collection or profit. The credit gateway send the detailed transaction information in real time with officials of the reporting system, naming the collections information repository. Collection information repository in turn provides personal government-wide accounting system. Automated clearinghouse collections are sent to the collection information repository end of the business day. Alright, 75030 General Guidelines. New account setup. The maintenance before processing the Fedwire Automatic Clearinghouse transactions through the credit gateway. The federal entity must establish an account with the credit gateway. Before setting up the new account, federal entity must have a valid agency location code, official of the financial accounting areas managing agency location code, and be enrolled within the collection information repository and submit the credit gateway account setup with the form. Official serve the settlement serve the division. See contact with the information listed and inquire with the concern network account setup. Officials reserve the right not to offer the Fedwire Automatic Clearinghouse for the specific federal entity cash flow. Officials serve the determine that this is not a cost effective for the public interest for the new account setup of several businesses day with the complete credit gateway program reviews each of the form accuracy submitted with the credit gateway customer care with the account setup returns the incomplete form of the federal entity correction resubmission for account after account setup with complete credit gateway program and notify the federal entity provide the new cash flow with the account number and payment instruction. Federal entity may provide the information to the customer. Credit gateway program area will provide periodic review the federal entity account with accounts for the inactive of the year and more are subject to the closure without notice for account setup. Customer care contact information contacts. 753020 Federal entity inquiry credit gateway customer care with the area with available to assist the federal entity transaction inquiry exemption process. The credit gateway customer hours of the 8:30 to 7:30 p.m. So 8:30 a.m. 7 p.m. Eastern Time. When calling credit gateway customer, federal entity shall have the agency location number, the amount of the transaction, question the date of the transaction, any other pertinent data that could be used to identify the transaction. 7535 Federal entity notification about deposit and adjustments. Voucher and support listing. 753010 officials of the receive of the fund transfer and messages accumulated with the by agency location code or credit gateway cash flow agent account number. End of the business day credit gateway generated with the credit voucher stand form 215 file of the debit with the voucher stand form 5515 file sends the file of the collection information repository. Vouchers were numbered for the system generated may repeat subsequent month. The federal entity should not group program the system offers the vouchers number that all deposit vouchers are available to the federal entities and cover the report the collection information repository deposit vote vouchers reflect the daily summary of the total dollars received number return the agency location code credit gateway cash flow account will include a full transaction detail records. 753520 same day notification. Federal entity requires same day reporting. Federal wire transactions may view the data of the collection information repository. Federal entity access to the collection information repository allows federal entity to review the near real time information intended to supplement at the end of the day with the debit the voucher information not available to close the business day. Federal entity the collection information repository through the internet to enroll the collection information repository collect the information from customer support. 753530 error of the deposit adjustment, generally a remitter of the fail of the payment instruct for the credit gateway the automatic reserves in return for the automatic clearinghouse transaction, typically with the credit gateway that does not make the correct for the transaction but reverse the return of the transaction. Do not have a valid agency location code for the credit gateway with the account number of the credit gateway may attempt with the manually correct with the federal wire transaction above certain dollar threshold. The federal entity should review the credit gateway the deposit daily error of the promptly notify the credit gateway customer care if the corrective action is required. Automatic clearinghouse debts are permitted. The credit gateway federal entity should advise the remitters according with the debtor of the receiver of the federal entity's account with the credit gateway automatically returns it to the original financial institution. Alright, Section 7540, Aaron, if the federal entity of the reporting depository, federal entity reporting the all credit to the gateway for the credit debit voucher for the agency location collection information repository, Aaron is on data of the transaction should report the prompt to the credit gateway customer care for return correction. Federal entity may require for the voucher correction when transaction pro for the agency location, wrong agency location code. They must submit the gateway account correction from the credit gateway customer if the correct agency location code is known. Forms available to the credit gateway website with the federal entity with impact for the correction must in agreement with the before the correction is submitted with the credit gateway. If the agency location code is not known, the transaction must be returned as described below. Section 7545, Fedwire processing online, 7545 hours, normal Fedwire processing hour for the credit gateway Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 754520 required information fund transfers. Required for the transfer fund officials for the normally initiated with the federal entity with the customers and with the bank fund the transfer of the documents. Banks do not maintain an account with the Federal Reserve Bank must use the service of the corresponding bank for the Federal Reserve Bank account. All Fed wires must be sent directly to officials with the credit gateway of the federal wire that does not accept the designated Treasury General account. Financial institution federal entity should they instruct the customer to send the federal wire deposit instead of possible no later than 5 p.m. on the day of the desired receipt date. Policy procedure regarding remitters required for the funds of the transfer to determine the bank sent for the transfer not on the credit gateway with the federal entity. The customers must always work with the processing guidelines established for their bank. The bank guidelines may include the processing cutoff, transaction fees, other bank requirements, fund or transfer of the charge of the bank remitter for the area to pay. The remitting customer fees should not be deducted from the payment amount due to the federal entity. Federal entities must provide information from federal wire transfer message of the officials for the specified in Appendix 1. Federal entities must obtain payment instruction templates for the credit gateway program that provided their customers. 74530, fund transfer of the foreign bank. Federal entities customers outside of the United States may send Fed wires direct for the credit gateway provided with the foreign bank of the U.S. correspondent bank with the funds that are being sent to the U.S. dollars denominated with the foreign currency must be processed for the Treasury International Treasury Services or ITS.gov. Federal entity should contact International Treasury Services.gov for instance in the foreign currency denominated transaction in conjunction with the credit gateway International Treasury Services.gov. This front-ended process forward wire credit gateway to have the back-end foreign currency policies. See Treasury Financial Meeting Volume 1 Part 4A Chapter 3000. 7545 returns the needs of the return federal wire receive the credit gateway may result due to the errors made some of the financial institute the miscommunication between the federal entity and its remitter. If fed wires are older than 6 months will not be returned after 6 months. The federal entity must make disbursements for the payment management to get funds back for the appropriate party. Returns fall under category same day with the prior day. Each type that requires owns perceived to explain with the file. All returns must be full amount with original transaction. Partial returns are not permitted. 754550 same day return federal wire transfer federal entity for the use of the following or receive the request of the return fed wire receive the current business state of the federal entity may use only one of the following two options. Option A, no form required. 754560A, federal entity instruct the remitter to have the financial institutions and fed wire request a reversal to the credit gateway with no later than 4 p.m. Eastern until upon the receipt of the credit gateway automatically return to the Fedwire. The Fedwire request for reversal of the receipt after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time cut off the credit gateway profit the request of the best effort with the base for the next business day. No further action with the federal entity is required. 7540 4560B, option B, form required. Federal entity complete with an email. Fedwire return of the form of the credit gateway. Customer care with no later than 4 p.m. Eastern. The federal forms available. The credit gateway website. Incomplete forms are not returned. Waiting for form fees are returned with the federal entity with the correction resubmission. Once a complete form is received, the credit gateway returned to the Fedwire with the business day of the credit gateway customer receives email after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard cutoff time. Credit gateway processes the request on the best effort base on the best next business day. For instance, same day returns contact credit gateway customer care. Alright, 7045 return of the prior day Fedwire transfer. They should either the following proceed with the recover the return of the Fedwire with the received on prior business day. Federal item may choose one of the two options. Option A, no form required. No form required. Step 1, federal agency for the permitted with the tab of the financial institute send the federal request a reversal of the prior day transfer to the credit gateway no later than 4 p.m. with the Eastern Standard Time. Request for the reversal of the prior day transfer received after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the credit gateway. Process the request on the best effort for the base for the next business day. Step 2, the federal entity must also send the email to the credit gateway customer before 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time cutoff time, confirming the credit gateway should honor the Fedwire request for the reversal prior to the date transfer reference. Step 1, upon receipt of the credit gateway, automatically return to the Fedwire. No forms required for the federal edit. Neither the email confirmation should include amount of the wire, the date of the wire originally received, the assistance for the prior date. Return of the federal entity should contact the credit gateway customer. Federal entities must complete with the steps 1 and 2 of the failure to complete with 1 step is nullified with the return request. 4570 B, option B, form required. Federal entity may complete with the email with the Fedwire return form of the credit gateway care with no later than 4 p.m. Eastern. Upon the credit card automatically returns credit gateway automatically returns the Fedwire. The Fedwire return form is received after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time cutoff. Credit gateway process the request on the best effort based for the next business day. For instance, prior returns of the contact credit gateway customers. Section 7550, Automatic Clearinghouse Operational Guides. Hour of the normal automatic clearinghouse operation. Hour of the credit gateway, Monday through Friday, except federal holidays, like from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Eastern Standard Time. Alright, 7550-20, required information automatic clearinghouse. Information that must be provided by the automatic clearinghouse officials for the specified appendix 2 of the automatic clearinghouse corporate credit debit is preferred for the automatic clearinghouse name of the entry class code of the record payment with the credit gateway, how the federal entities requirement of the more remittance information. Automatic clearinghouse transaction credit gateway also support for the corporate credit debit plug for the corporate trade exchange. Federal entities desiring the use of the credit card corporate credit debit plug and corporate trade exchange format shall first install the credit gateway program area. Record the transmit automatic clearinghouse credit official you normally initiate with the federal and customer of the bank's transfer with the Department of Banks without the bank team of the account of the Federal Reserve Bank must use the service of the corresponding bank which may with the deposit of the credit gateway. All automatic clearinghouses transactions must be sent directly official service of the credit gateway. Automatic clearinghouse transaction will not accept the name of the designated Treasury General Account financial institution. Policy received the remitting remitters request the automatic clearinghouse to determine the bank sending transfer not for the credit gateway, but therefore federal and the customers must work with the processing guidelines established by their bank. Bank guidelines may include the processing cutoff, transactions fee for the other bank requirements, automatic clearinghouse fees and charge. Bank remitter to be paid with the remitter. Customer of the fee should not be deducted for the payment amount due for the federal entity. Automatic clearinghouse debt did not pay with the credit gateway. Federal entity should have with the customer accordingly. Alright, 7550-30, return the need for the return automatic clearinghouse of any entry received to the credit gateway of the may result of the error sending financial institutions miscommunication between the federal entity and the remitters in general with the NACHO rules require the error and return with the error and automatic clearinghouse transaction second banking day following the settlement with the original transaction. Federal entities need to proactively reconcile with the collection of the 2 bank days. Running automatic clearinghouse transaction, federal entity must email with the automatic clearinghouse return with the credit gateway customer care no later than 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Forms available at the credit gateway website upon the receipt of the credit gateway automatically returns automatic clearinghouse transaction. If automatic clearinghouse return form is received at 4 p.m. and 10 Eastern Time cutoff the credit gateway possesses. Process with the request on best effort for the business expected today for assistance automatic clearinghouse returns. Contact credit gateway customer care. Appendix 1. Appendix 2, in contacts, Department of Treasury Bureau, Official Service Held in the Division, Credit Card, Credit Gateway Customer Care, Credit Gateway Branch Manager, Credit Collection Information Repository, Customer Support, and then its.gov. And that was Chapter 7500, Credit Gateway, Fedwire, Automatic Clearinghouse, Credit Deposit to the Account Bureau, Official Services.